All right, I'm gonna do this video. I don't think anybody gonna come in here. It's pretty late, but I like the live upload because it uploads right away. Um, Today I was talking to a driver. Oh, I guess somebody did pop in here. Who's in here? Is this JJ? I don't know who's in. I'm gonna talk about this Taemon Blair thing. Whoever's watching, you can watch, or if you want to ask a question, you can. I was talking to a driver today. One of my homegirls, and she had told me that another person had done a video regarding some driver who had, well, it was up in the air whether he had committed suicide or whether he had lynched himself. And then I saw that one of the people from our 411 channel, D-Boy Stans, had uploaded a video regarding a gentleman named Taemon Blair. Now, I hadn't heard about it. I've been driving, so I really hadn't heard a lot of details as far as what took place with Taemon. Um, but when I saw D-Boy Stans' video, it kind of made me go and research. I had two people telling me about some lynching or suicide that took place that was really bizarre. Um, I've done my own reading on it to see um, just kind of my vibe. D-Boy Stance didn't want to get into the politics of it. I'm going to talk a little bit about it because after reading it, a lot of things bothered me. The family is saying the police, they deemed it a suicide, and that he basically hung himself in the back of his trailer. And apparently there was a lot of things that I researched that were kind of weird to me. And I'm with some of the suspicions that the family has. Apparently, this young man was 6'5". Okay, for those of you who may not work in this industry, I'm also having a problem in how he hung himself from the top of the damn trailer in the back. And that I'm sorry, just something don't sound right. Um, he's 6'5". He hung himself from the back of the trailer in the back, and the police deemed it a suicide. They are supposedly there was evidence of a struggle, I think, inside the cab because they talked about his radio looked like there was a fight inside the cab, and then that there was some kind of fight, and they deemed it a suicide. D. Bush Stance didn't want to go here. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go here because, man, there's a lot happening in our world today, and we some of it I agree with, some of it I don't agree with. Some of even our groups I agree with things they do, and in others I think that certain people who say they victims aren't victims, and certain people who are victims are. And the waters are muddied, so you have to kind of look at the situation and take a stance. Trucking is the industry where if you have messed up in your life, I've had cousins who came into the industry after getting out of prison, out of jail, doing whatever they did. I went to school with guys who were felons. I know young women who have done some things that they weren't proud of, who have totally turned their life around because of this industry, because it gave them a shot to get a job, make some decent money. One young lady I know has a house, was an owner op for a while. Um, you know, it says something that I made a mistake in my youth, and now I want to change my life around. Right now, when you go research him, there are two different things showing up. One was some criminal activity that he got into, and two was him graduating and, with his family, happy, so forth. And, there was possibly a phase in his life. It's ironic to me that now the family's asking for them to go further in investigation. And when I go to pull this boy up, I pull up uh, mugshot photos as well as the photos of him graduating, as well as him as a football person. And I didn't do the video, I didn't do the thumbnail that a lot of people are doing with him graduating. I wanted to show that he was a young black male that played sports, enjoyed sports, um, and show him in a different light, because what we need to do is see that we're dealing with a human being. And unfortunately, we are in a time, in a political atmosphere, in which a certain mindset is out there. And because it has been unleashed, unhinged, we have a lot of things that we have to be careful out here and I hate to say being a minority in this industry, um, we have to be very careful and aware and cognizant of the things going on in this industry. We have to take extra precautions, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man. Hate to say it, even if you're and I'm not trying to knock that white men can't have anything happen, but right now there is a faction of people who are unhinged, and they will basically, based on the political atmosphere, they're allowing some of their views that were maybe stealth and under some reins. Since everything can go now and I can do whatever I want to do because I got somebody who's like me who don't like y'all, I can do crazy crap that hasn't been done in years. So we now, well, because it's been done in years, but hasn't been done on this broadly open level. We can now lynch people um, openly, and then we have, I hate to say it, the politics of our police department, who in some cases and I told y'all about this a while back. If you haven't watched it, go watch a show called The Wire. And while it is a fictional sitcom to some degree, there's a lot of truth in a lot of the politics from the street, the politics in the police department. And what you'll find is that they don't want unsolved murders. It affects their rates of whatever. It's just like you get cops to get out here and they'll do what they call a blitz. And they'll get out here and give as many tickets to raise as much money. And probably, they make it part of their job or part of some damn thing to get as many tickets as you can. And then, compare. I have family in law enforcement. I'm going to let y'all know. Y'all have no idea. There's stuff that's done, and it's insane, but it's all in a political vein. They may not have wanted this murder on there. This kid had a former criminal background. So why do we care what happened to him? And on top of that, he's black. We don't give a damn. It's sick, but that is the world that we live in today. And killing a black male in our society is just one more nigga dead in some minds of certain sick individuals. They didn't care whether he had a family. They don't care about him being human. They saw a black male and, whatever their twisted view is. Do I think he's murder? I think it's damn questionable. I think it's questionable that a 6'5" guy can hang himself in the back of a trailer. And how do you do that? I'm just right now I'm trying to think, where the hell did he hang the rope? How did he get it to latch across anything? Anybody who knows the trailer, what's on top? It's usually a smooth surface. How did he hang himself at 6'5"? I'm having a problem. Did he hang himself from the back doors with the doors open of the trailer? And what did he hook up there to tie the rope? That takes some finagling, y'all. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it for a lot of reasons. Apparently, per what they said, he's going to be a new dad. He had turned his life around from getting out of prison. Excuse me, jail, prison, whichever one he was in. And 21, 22 years old, I don't see it. I just don't see it. You start a new career. He just started driving. I'm not seeing it. Something the hell ain't right. And it's twisted and it's sick. And I do, D-Boy stands, I have a feeling me and you're on the same page as what we both are thinking. I do think it's foul play. And I think the police department, one of two things. They either help him cover it up and or it was in order to meet metrics. And basically, we don't want another unsolved homicide. Similar to the young ladies that we mentioned in the previous video. One was a domestic one, and one they never ever mentioned what happened to Kamisha. We didn't hear nothing else after they missing. Okay, they missing. The boyfriend confessed to this. Kamisha couldn't find nothing else. We don't know, and we still don't know what the baby. I'm presuming she was raped. They didn't go into any further details. There was no reward out there for if somebody saw something. Nothing. Not a damn thing. Mm-mm. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Our world is very different, folks. It is extremely, very, very, very different. And a lot of the politics going on right now, I understand them on what I call a godly level on why. However, we are in the midst of it and we have to be very careful. Um, because there are people who consciously decide to be ignorant. It's not like I'm ignorant because I don't know better. They consciously know better, but they gonna keep in their ignorance. You're gonna support lying. You're gonna support um, a whole bunch of stuff, and then because you want to, because it supports who you are as a person, and or you don't want to admit you made a mistake. That's that's another question mark I have. You got a lot of people who don't want to admit that they've made some mistakes. And so they will consciously agree with foolishness. So when D-Boy Stance didn't get into the politics on what's going on, I'm going to get into it. Out here in trucking, it's highly racial issues. And for those people who, even though you might keep your mouth shut and you don't, they could just have it out for you because you're black, because you're Latino, whatever. And, or you're female. And, or maybe from an alternate lifestyle. And the next thing you know, you just out here trying to do a job, make a living, pay your bills, take care of your family, and you dealing with foolishness. We see it, it still happens in the industry. And it's pretty disgusting, but it's even more disgusting when we all know that something don't sound right with this. And the police department is not willing to investigate further. Or to tell the truth, they might even cover it up. You see a lot of foul play. It is either based, and it's funny, if you have a certain economic stature, they'll go through hell and high water for you. But if you're not, oh well, just another Negro dead or another poor person dead. You don't matter. You don't count, and that's very unfortunate. It really, honestly is. And unfortunately, it's not shocking to me that this particular police department did absolutely nothing to uh, investigate it further. Like I said, I just personally think they probably either wanted to close the case out or they may know who did what and they just covered it for them. But y'all, I'll put some links below to at least some of the articles I looked at on it. Tell me what you think. But I agree that there's some foul play with this one. This baby was too tall, two to 6'5", and I'm trying to figure out how the hell you hung yourself up in the back of a trailer. I don't know. I can't. I remember, and I'll just share this story. I remember when I'm from Arizona, and I remember I was 13 years old. My uncle, who was married to my aunt, my mother's sister, he was an urban league director, and we went to Louisiana before Katrina, and I was 1982. I was babysitting for them, and we also spent that summer traveling through the South. Which, after I went through the South, because it was culture shock for me, because I would, we go visit family members of his and ours, and one of the family members, an older lady, I can't remember if that was in Alabama or Mississippi, and we went in her house, one of them old houses on the sticks, like those stick homes that usually are from your sharecropping days, from the black people's sharecropping days, and we went in there and they were showing the news and they were finding black boys on the side of the road, and you kind of, when they talked about it, you kind of knew that they had been lynched. That was culture shock for me, and that was in 1982, and it was still happening in the South. And I think areas of the South are absolutely beautiful, but that left a lasting impression on me that I never wanted to live in Alabama, Mississippi. I don't want nothing to do with those areas because And is it scary? Yeah, it's scary. I can't even say it's not scary. It is scary when you have people that hate you based on your skin color. It wasn't in Louisiana. And welcome to the channel, Dime Fever. It was in Indianapolis. I'm gonna put the article below. I just found out it from talking to another driver earlier today. I didn't even have the name of the gentleman, and then D Boy Stance put something on her channel regarding it, and then I started reading on it. And tonight I was like, "No, I got to put something together because it's just bizarre." And the baby was 22, 21, 22 years old. Apparently, per his family, he had a new child coming on the way with a girlfriend. Um, he had, like, literally, I guess, turned his life around. When you go research him, you're gonna find some of his photos where he had gone to jail or prison, and then it gives his record, what kind of took place. But then you see the photos, I guess the family are sharing on the media, where I guess he had graduated high school or something. I didn't use that for the thumbnail. I actually used his football photo because I thought that was when I went to the page that it looks like he had created when during playing football. That was back in 1982. I was 13 years old, and we were visiting. I think it was my uncle who had married into our family. We were visiting his aunt. It was we had gone. We first started the trip in New Orleans because there was an Urban League convention there at the Hilton. This is before Katrina, obviously. And then we went around to different family members, mainly of his. We went to see one of ours who had a ranch, but we had traveled Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia were the ones I remember. And I remember we went to go see this. She was an old black lady, and it was like an aunt or something of my uncle's. And he's uncle by marriage, not blood uncle. He had married my mother's sister. And we went to visit her, and she had the news going. And they talked about finding some on the side of the road. And I knew, like I said, I was 13. From the way the conversation went, it sounded as if they were lynched and then just left on the side of the road because of their what they call it, fixation, where it's, something around the neck. And I was like two or three of them they had found on the side of this road. And the conversation that took place in the house between the adults, because I'm 13 years old. And for me, this was major culture shock. I'm from Arizona. Granted, don't get me wrong, Arizona has hell of a racism, but the racism in Arizona is very covert, what I call under the carpet. It's not as blatant and bold as some of the racism you get in the South. Um, the racism in the South, you can feel it. You can. I've been to places where you can cut it with a knife. It's that thick that you are hated. You're not accepted. You got to watch your P's and Q's. Um, it almost goes back to that Color Purple moment with Oprah, where they beat the hell out of her. You got to be careful, and there are areas still in the South, I believe, to this day that are exactly the same. It may be somewhat more liberal, but now with the climate that we have, not a doubt in my mind. Not a doubt in my mind. Um, but yeah, it was culture shock to me, and beautiful places. Food is on hit because I like food. I'm fat, but it's not. I would never want to live in Mississippi. Never want to live in Alabama. Never want to even live in Georgia. I don't even care if it's Atlanta. I don't want nothing to do with it. It's different when you go. Well, Louisiana, and a lot of people in Louisiana has had a couple different things happen there, um, because that's where Kamisha was. But Louisiana, and I know. Oh, that's the other one. And a friend of mine, was an associate of hers, was a school teacher who was killed. I did a previous video and I mentioned her in Louisiana. It was Louisiana. Louisiana very pretty, but it's some weird stuff going on there. And the law enforcement is supposed to investigate. Oftentimes it could be budgetary. They don't have the money to do what they say they're going to do. Sometimes they don't feel it's worth it. This young man, he was 21 years old. He had a criminal past, and sometimes it's like good to hell riddance. That's how they think. Um, it's sad, but that's very true. It's very indicative of some of the thought process. Like, we never heard anything on Kamisha. I doubt we're going to hear anything on this boy unless there's enough. Let's go ahead and take a look at this situation. I haven't listened to Urban View because that's one I usually listen to, and this would be something that Joe Madison talked on. I do know that T.I. the rapper, he's actually been speaking out on it as well. Um, on this Taemon Blair's um, murder, you can pull that up as well. But yeah, they're ruling it a suicide, and like I said, I'm still trying to figure out how the hell you hang yourself in the back of a. I got a trailer with me right now, and I got a more complex trailer called a reefer. I'm thinking right now, there ain't nowhere to put it to tie a rope up. Where you tying the rope? You know, 6'5", and you hung yourself from the back of your trailer? No, something the hell ain't right. I don't know if they always say suicide. I think certain things like asphyxiation, if you, they can then say suicide, but there's too many question marks. One, I guess one of the detectives told the family supposedly that when they went there to investigate the whole thing, that there looked like there had been some sort of fight or struggle in the, I believe in the cab, because they said that the radio was kicked in, like there was a fight. So something took place and somebody got killed, and then they hung this boy up in the back of that in the back. And like I said, I really that already to me raises red flags. How the hell you hang yourself? You gonna tell me this boy committed suicide and hung himself in the back of his his uh his van? I don't know if you're a driver, but if you aren't a driver, go to a truck stop and ask them and look in the back of a van and see the hell. Look at that. The top is smooth. If it's a dry van, it's smooth. Even in a reefer, the only thing we have at the top is what they call the chute or the curtain that allows the air to flow, around the reefer. I'm sorry, I don't know where the hell you gonna tie a rope unless you tie it somewhere up where the doors are in the back. And even then, how are you tying it? There's nothing that you can hook onto. It's just not. My biggest problem is if he was going to commit suicide, most people who commit suicide, they think it out and they well plan it. There's nothing well planned about hanging yourself because it's like it's too much work. You trying to roll out, you ain't trying to step second. No, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not buying it at all. He just got into trucking. He got not. It sounded like he turned his whole life around. And all of a sudden, no, I'm not buying it. I call BS. Something ain't the hell right. It ain't the hell right. Anyway, I didn't want to be on here too long. I just really wanted to talk about that, and put that up, and then I'm getting ready to go to bed. But yeah, Dom, I don't. Something ain't right. It's just something ain't the hell right, and it's unfortunate. I pray that maybe somebody will get some gumption and go ahead and open up the investigation for the family so they can get closure. But as I say with anything, at least the one thing about this situation, they do have a child's body. Because in Kamisha's case, they had her body. I think Kamisha was the first one. They have her body, but it was so, messed up, they couldn't even let her mama see it. And then there's another young lady who hers is a domestic situation, and they still ain't found her body. And somewhere buried between, I think they said Texas and New Mexico, is what the guy told them. So, yeah, I can't. Anyway, thank you for seeing the channel. Give me a thumbs up, like, or subscribe, and share it out. But I do want you to be blessed and have a good night. And two. For anybody else watching this later on down the road, give us a like, thumbs up, subscribe, and share it out. Be blessed. And I'll see y'all sometime, maybe tomorrow or the next day. I'm also going to be doing my video for the Trucker 411 YouTube page, so make sure you check us out there. I'll get the links below. I haven't been doing it lately, but I will eventually put them down there. Peace.